Warhammer 40K is one of the most popular futuristic sci-fi universes out there, and there is a ton of lore to explore, spanning from the rise of the Emperor to the Great Crusade, the Horus Heresy, and the present era of Indomitus. In my opinion, the best way to dive into the lore of Warhammer 40K is through the most recent rulebook. Within this tome, you can find a bunch of information for every individual faction, as well as a slimmed timeline of the events of this universe. Currently, we're at the 9th edition variation of the rulebook, but we will be shortly getting the 10th edition in about a year or two. But for now, if you really want to dive into the lore, go ahead and grab the rulebook, because that way you'll know how to play the tabletop, and you'll get an overall understanding of this universe and everything that inhabits it. But we must not forget the novels. In my opinion, the Horus Heresy novels should not be skipped at all. Since there are over 50 plus novels in this series, I'll give you guys the essential books that you need to read so you don't end up wasting your time or your money in getting all these novels when it's not necessary. So without further ado, I'll give you the top 10 Horus Heresy novels you need to read, because obviously you guys came here for that reason, and then I'll give you my explanation as to why afterwards. So without further ado, here's the first essential novel is that of Horus Rising. Without spoiling any of these, I'll just give you a quick one-sentence synopsis of what to expect, and in this first novel of the Horus Heresy, it is basically the end of the Great Crusade, and you get a good look into the Luna Wolves' Legion and how the Imperium operates when they conquer worlds. Number 2, False Gods. This is essentially the beginning of Horus's downfall to chaos. Number 3, Galaxy in Flames. This covers the Isstvan III atrocity, which is a key pivotal point in the lore. Number 4 is Flight of the Eisenstein. It is well written and it focuses on Nathaniel Garro trying to warn the Imperium of the Horus Heresy. Number 5 is Fulgrim. It covers the next big event in the Horus Heresy, the Isstvan V Drop Site Massacre. These first 5 books are all going in order, but after this, I'm gonna say it's best to skip around, and our number 6 is that of Legion. It is an introduction to the Cabal and the Perpetuals, which are very important in shaping the future of the universe. Number 7 is Mechanicum, which shows you the Adeptus Mechanicus, how they operate, and a civil war on Mars. Number 8, I had to put these two together, and it is Prospero Burns and 1,000 Suns. Now, each book tells their own Legion's viewpoints on the burning of Prospero, which is another very important battle when it comes to the Legions and the Primarchs of both the Space Wolves and the 1,000 Suns. Number 9 is Praetorian of Dorn. It's a build-up to the next stage of the Horus Heresy, the Battle of Terra. And my number 10, and probably the most important book in all of these, is Master of Mankind. Huge reveals on the Emperor of Mankind and how certain events played out and what was the driving factor in as to why the future of 40K is exactly what we have today. So those were my top 10 picks. In a quick rundown, we have Horus Rising, False Gods, Galaxy in Flames, Flight of the Eisenstein, Fulgrim, Legion, Mechanicum, Prospero Burns / 1,000 Suns, Praetorian of Dorn, and Master of Mankind. I think these 10 is a really solid starting point because you get to look at a bunch of key points in the history of Warhammer 30K. It does have a ton of battles and whatnot, so it's not like you're just getting boring lore. You do get to see the Space Marines go toe-to-toe against enemies that aren't Space Marines, and you basically trim a ton of the fat. Because, like I said before, there are 50 plus novels in the Horus Heresy. Some of those are just anthologies, just stories that happen during all these main events that don't really lead or amount to anything. Of course, if you want to see how, the Dark Angels fare against fighting the Fallen Angels, you can go ahead and check out those books. There are other books that focus on like Primarchs and stuff like that, so if you have a favorite Primarch, go ahead and check out those books. But when you're going through the lore of 40K and you're trying to hit key historical events, definitely check out these 10 books. Now that's just my opinion. There are tons of other top 10 Horus Heresy novels that you need to read, videos out there on YouTube. I'd say check those out and make the decision for yourself. However, I will say this, the first 4 or 5 books are essential because they set up the stage. You see how Horus became essentially driven to chaos and why his downfall meant so much for the Imperium and the future of 40K. And after you finish reading these novels, I will say that the next step is to dive into the lore that is the Siege of Terra. This is the next stage after the Horus Heresy, and it is once the Demon Primarchs had made their way to Terra itself, and they're about to take on the Emperor. Huge battles. Like I said before, you've got Demon Primarchs such as Angron going into the fray. You've got Ka Banda taking on Sanguinius. So those, I'd say, read all of them, because there's only like 8 out currently. There's not that much of information on the Siege of Terra, but everything that happens on Terra is important. You've got some craziness going on with Magnus, but I'm going off on a tangent. That's a video for another time. But let me know what you guys think. Do you guys agree that this top 10 is essential? Is there another book that you say should replace one of the ones previous here? Let me know, because I really am interested in trying to figure out what's the best way to read, these key moments in the heresy without spending, close to $500, because each book roughly is about $10 if you could find it on the cheap, because like I said, these books have been coming out for quite a while now, something like 15 years, maybe more. So some of these books are hard to find. I've been trying to find these paperbacks at like brick and mortar stores. Yeah. And I think I'm only found 5 so far after going to like 8 stores. So I think I'm going to have to throw in the towel and start ordering these online. If reading books is not your thing, if you prefer to just put on like an audio book, you can do that too. Audible does that. That way you can still paint minis while listening to the Heresy. Because honestly, you could even do it while playing a game of 40K. Relive these epic battles while you play against somebody else would be pretty cool to do. But hey, that's me. Let me know your thoughts down below, guys. If you guys like the codex that is the One Mind Syndicate YouTube channel, we do have supplements for you guys in the form of TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So check us out on the social media sites for more One Mind Syndicate goodness. And of course, you can also support us directly by doing super thanks. That's a thing that YouTube is doing that just allows you guys to, support us directly without having to go through any other type of media. And if not, liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing helps the channel out tremendously. Thanks again for listening, thanks again for watching, and as always, this has been the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.